Okay, so I usually don't make these videos until some situations in the car world do get kind of serious, and this has been one that's been going on for kind of a week now, and it has gotten to a point to where even I feel like that I should be making a video on it because it's honestly outrageous. It's outrageous for the whole car industry. It's outrageous for the aftermarket for cars. It's outrageous for everything, and that means banning vehicles such as like these, but on your real life roads. Of course, this is within a video game, but the EPA is trying to basically make it to where you cannot turn your vehicle into a non-road legal race car. So basically, events like Hot Rod Drag Week, Race Week, things like that, you won't be able to do anymore. You cannot have a registered vehicle that is technically a race car or has parts for it that are made for off-road use only. And that is completely outrageous. This is something that people have done for tons of years now. And there's tons of crazy vehicles out there now. And this, if it were to go through, this would ban vehicles like Cletus McFarlane's Leroy, Motortrend's Roadkills. The Rotson wouldn't be able to go onto the show or go onto the roads. Roadkill road trips can't happen anymore. And this could also affect people who have vehicles that are older, just like me. I have a 1983 Datsun, and if I have anything that is considered for off the road use on that car that the EPA finds, I won't be able to drive my car on public roads anymore, which would be detrimental because, you know, cars they're meant to drive, and it's a passion to modify your cars and to do this type of stuff and to have this type of freedom that you can do. I know that modifying your car isn't everyone's cup of tea, but so much about the car culture across America would be ruined if something like this happens. And vehicles just like what you see in front of me may not be allowed on the roads anymore. And yeah, we need to fight back. We need we need to get the EPA to stop this, to where so many events can continue to live on with their legacy, like Hot Rod Drag Week. Many people, like the Roadkill guys, can still go to the junkyard, get a vehicle, put a different motor in it, and then drive it halfway across the country. So many of these things would be gone due to this silly little dumb thing. And there's tons of evidence out there that goes against what the EPA says with race cars. And I saw a video on YouTube that talked about basically there was a shop that did a test with a normal vehicle, normal exhaust, normal everything, no modifications, no nothing, and they did what they called is the sniffer test, which is where that tests the emissions coming out of your vehicle. And that's what the EPA is going after the most. And I know there are people out there who drive cars with bad emissions. California is the example of, why emission laws suck. But I know some people are bad about it, but there was a test done to where a car it didn't matter what it was, if it had a supercharger, a turbocharger, if it was modified in every way and it had a straight piped exhaust and it was running E85, which is basically a form of race gas or corn, basically. Corn that's being turned into fuel, that's going in the E85. Of course, that gas can be very, very destructive to your motor if you don't get rid of it easily. But with all of those variants in mind, and they also did this with pump gas, both cars passed the emissions test. They were running emissions lower than the normal everyday stock vehicle. And the EPA wants to ban people from doing these types of things just because they want to save the globe a little bit more. But there's so many other things that are polluting the world. And cars are one of them, but you can't get rid of that. There's so many larger factors to the pollution of the world that is just there. There's factories that make these electric cars. Factories that make these electric cars are giving off more fumes than what a normal everyday car can do. and that's just not right to me. I don't want a future where the only choice you have is an electric powered piece of shit. I always want to be able to have a gas powered car. I always do, and I want older cars to be able to flourish on the road still. Yeah, over the years, that is something that is going to become lost, but when I'm older and have kids, it would be great to have them look back at, like, this is what we drove then. These so many great vehicles, Hellcats, Camaros, Mustangs, and then in the 80s, the 68 Charger, Z cars, everything. I would love people to be able to still look back and to be able to go to a car show and see a really badass looking car. That's the type of shit that inspires car enthusiasts, and it can't go away. But there's a link in the description. If you want to help out, go to the SEMA webpage and sign for the RPM Act. This is to get everything that the EPA is trying to do to go away. I don't know if it's going to be permanent, but this is to basically undermine the EPA and get this silly and stupid and redundant waste of time act to go away. Go and sign the petition for the RPM Act. Save the car culture of America.